Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Generic Garage. On the last episode, we installed our cam, our timing chain set, our lifters, our spider assembly. We managed to get some parts cleaned up in the bead blaster. I still haven't painted those. And we were waiting on those AFR 195 heads to come in from the shop. They're still about a week away. So while we're waiting on those heads to show up, I figured that we might address one of the issues that I'm currently having with the truck. And that is traction, or rather, the lack thereof. I took the truck to a dyno night last year, and this is one of the runs that the truck made. Here's the dyno graph for that run, and as you can see, we're not putting out very much horsepower and torque to the rear wheels, somewhere around 210 horsepower and 230, 240 foot-pounds of torque. But even with that low number, we absolutely get no traction on this rear end. Check it out. So as you can imagine, if we were to put that 331 in here with about double the horsepower and double the torque, it's just gonna be a nightmare. We're not gonna go anywhere. We're gonna sit there and we're gonna spin our tires anytime we try to take off. So there's a solution for this. These are called Caltracs. They get installed to the U-bolts that hold the rear axle to the leaf springs. And through a pivot point, they're able to convert rotational force into downward force onto the leaf springs that help push the tires into the pavement. And today, we're gonna be installing them on the Ranger. And then we're gonna see if they make a difference in our traction. everything was going just way too smoothly. Everything was being installed perfectly. And you know, I didn't bother to look at the kit well enough before I went to install it. But I guess just check this out. So clearly, if I was to install the rear plate from Calvert, there would not be anywhere to mount my shock. I thought maybe I could just set it on here and the U-bolts would be long enough, but I mean, the holes don't even line up. They're too narrow on this plate. So I looked through the catalog and they sell a bunch of different rear mounts. Maybe the MT37 set would work. I'm not really seeing any others here with those shock mounts on them. So what's going through my head right now is those are really close. It's got the hole here for the bolt that runs through the leaves. I did put just the plate up there with the U-bolts, and it will work. These holes are, you know, more narrow than these holes, but it's still wide enough to fit the leaf. So what I think I want to do is just cut all of this off of my rear mounts and weld them on to the Calvert, the rear mount plate. I don't really know what else to do at this point. All right, well, a little bit of cutting and welding and help from the guys on the V8 Ranger swap groups on Facebook with a little bit of name calling and making fun of me. That's all right. We figured out that the mistake was that I guess they had assumed that I was talking about the 8.8 inch rear end that came in the Rangers. I have the email chain that says, you know, hey, I pulled this Explorer rear end out and I'm putting it in my Ranger. It's an 8.8. It's going on top of the leaf springs, so I need a kit for this. And the guy answered me twice saying, yep, 7704 was the kit. And I said, all right, hey, thanks very much. Clearly there was a breakdown in communication. I guess it's my fault. But anyways, we got that all figured out. Everything's all painted up and ready to go, and now we have a place to mount our shocks. So let's continue on. All right, well, we got the preload set and everything's tightened down, so it's time to go for a test drive. I'm gonna stick y'all probably attached to the bumper so that we can see how these wheels are doing when we go to take off. Hopefully they're not spinning nearly as much. Hopefully we get some traction. Well, that might not have looked very different, but it felt incredible. When I got down on it, yes, there was some wheel spin, but not nearly as much, and so much more of that power was in the acceleration. I felt it in that truck. Normally, I give it power and it never stops spinning. This time, I came around that first corner, laid on it, spun for a second, hooked up and grabbed, and just, it went. It just feels amazing. So I would totally recommend this. These Caltracs, if anybody else is having these sorts of issues. Of course, they've been around forever. Everybody else would recommend them. I'm just another person to add to that list. That truck feels like a completely different truck now. I'm loving it. I think it's really gonna help when we get the rest of this 331 put together and then put in the truck. That's gonna do it for today. Took a little bit longer than I expected. I was gonna talk about some of the things that I've been 3D printing, but we'll just have to roll that into another video. Next week, the AFR 195 head should come in. So next weekend, I will be putting the rest of the motor together, and there is just so much more work to do to get that motor out of the truck, to get this one in. Yeah. So before I go, I wanted to say thank you to everybody that's subscribed. I've passed 100 subscribers. I think I'm at 108 right now. And I am just so thankful that y'all are helping me out by clicking that subscribe button. If you like this video, leave me a comment. If you have suggestions or things to complain about, or you want to make fun of me, leave me a comment down below. I don't mind. And next time we will get on to building the rest of the 331. All right, thanks guys. Y'all take care. Have a good week. Bye.